Good morning. Who's that?
Hi, Bruce Kirkland here from the Toronto Sun. Good seeing you. Okay, now you have a sense of completion. You have 5 films out of 4 books. I'm curious if now you are allowing yourself any perspective on what it all means. Because clearly, 13-year-old girls have their own unique perceptions of what all of this means to them. And I'm curious, as a witness to the entire spectacle of this franchise, if you're now allowing yourself a little analytical moment to see the value of the entire, again, word franchise.
It's funny, people are asking me how I feel when it all ends on the first movie. And I don't think I've ever felt more completely bewildered. Like knowing that I only have a month of Twilight stuff left to do. I don't know. I've said since I think the second one, it's going to take 10 years to really settle in my brain. So I'm 4 years into it. But yeah, I don't think there is any analysis. I don't think anyone knows why people like it. I don't think even the fans know why they connect to it the way they do. It's a visceral thing. It's a Stephanie. I don't even know if Stephanie could tell you why she was so fixated on this very, very, very contained story. This, and kind of obsessive characters. Yeah, I don't think anyone. It's just a kind of anomaly. It's a terrible answer. I don't know.
So Robert, if you could go back in time, this is sort of a corollary to his question, is, and you can go back 5 years, what kind of advice would you give yourself then that would maybe help prepare you for what happened, in the ensuing 5 years?
Start drinking vodka instead of beer. Let's try and get a 6-pack as early as possible. And you'll be much more successful acting. I don't know. No, not really. I mean, yeah, it's kind of fun to deal with the terror and the kind of huge highs and lows of it. I'd never known that things. It was still getting massive surprises every time you have any kind of Twilight-related event or anything. I still remember, I think it was the 3rd movie where we went to Munich, and the entire Olympic Stadium was filled with fans, and just to walk in there and do nothing. I mean, literally, it's supposed to be a Q&A, but when me, Kristen, and Taylor just stood in the middle of the Olympic Stadium with 30,000 people just screaming, and just stood there like for 15 minutes. And it's just, I mean, it's absolutely bizarre. There's no way you can ever compute it.
Hi, Rob. Yeah. Okay. This film's keyword theme is forever. When you had forever, what things come up your head, and do you find what is forever and what thing is forever?
Death. What is forever? I don't know. Just hope, I guess. That's kind of a difficult question. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. I mean, what in terms of what?
Friendships or
Yeah.
family or
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think lots of things.
You're blushing.
Robert over here. Could you talk 2 things? Could you talk a little bit? What was your last scene? What was your last moment of being Edward Cullen? And also, what's been your strangest fan encounter besides the Olympic Stadium?
What was my last scene?
Stephanie said it was on a beach. You guys
Yeah.
were, and how did you feel when you wrapped playing Forever?
I mean, it was hilarious considering we spent the entire series filming in the most miserable conditions, and then we end on the beach in the Caribbean for 2 days in the sea. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, we literally did the last shot as the sun was coming up in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. It was a nice way to end it, but because they were considering shooting it in the sea in Vancouver, so which would not have worked at all. And so, what was the other question?
Were you sad to let him go?
Yeah, it was very, very strange. It was kind of because we were still kind of frustrated. I was still the same frustration with trying to play it like the entire way through. I mean, right up until the last shot. It's a strange part because you, on one hand, have a lot of the audience project their idea of Edward onto him without, it doesn't matter what he is. It's like they want him to be a certain way, and then my kind of instincts to try and play it is to try and find the fallibility in him and the weaknesses, and so it's kind of you're trying to play both these things at the same time, and it becomes very strange. I mean, you kind of because you're trying to play someone who's seen by a lot of people as being like this perfect thing, but what is that? I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. And so you're trying to play an archetype on one hand and a character on the other. And so I kind of felt insanely frustrated right up until the last shot, and then it ended. Yeah.
Robert, looking back, whether this is a physical thing or an emotional thing, what was the most difficult thing to leave behind about the Edward character, and what was the best thing to leave behind, or glad to leave behind?
I think there's a thing just in general about doing any kind of series, especially when the characters remain the same. Just that you can go back and try and improve whatever you did in the last movie, which never happens. Just kind of that tone and that work ethic is nice. It's quite you feel quite strangely secure, and I mean it's the opposite of how you're supposed to feel doing a movie. You're supposed to feel totally foreign every single time, but kind of going back for another go at it is kind of it's good on one hand, and it is also bad on the other hand because you get your ideas dry up sometimes, and also you get lazy sometimes because you're just you're around the same people. So that was the good thing about having different directors. So you kind of had to stay a little bit on your toes. What's the worst thing? Just like play a part where you can't get hurt and you can't die, because there's no framework to it's kind of the possibilities. There's too many possibilities if you can't die. There's always if you're playing a normal human being, there's always that. Yeah, I think that's probably.
Hi, Rob. This franchise has obviously opened a lot of doors for you. So how do you see that impacting your career 10, 15 years down the road?
I don't know. I mean, it's you kind of. I mean, people ask me if I'm afraid of getting typecast and stuff, but it's like you can't be afraid of it. I mean, it's really not up to you. I mean, I'm getting other parts that aren't vampires or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know if people will, accept me in them or whatever. I mean, there's really nothing to be afraid of. Yeah, in 15 years, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know how people will remember this series at all. I mean, it's crazy how intense people are. The fan base is still 5 years on, so I don't know how long it's going to last. It would be insane if there was still the same tenacity in 15 years.
Hi, Rob. I was wondering, is there any moment in particular, either during filming, meeting new cast members, or
anything in the whole Twilight experience that you would like to relive and why?
I'd like to relive. I think the whole first movie was pretty fun. It was kind of like, I've never really done a movie like it when there's such a big cast of people who are round about the same age, and everyone didn't really know what was going to happen with the movie, but there was a good energy. There was something which people were kind of like fighting for in a way. They wanted it to be. They wanted it to be something special. There's also people. None of us had really known then as well. So it was kind of. It felt like a big deal at the time. And it was exciting. It was really exciting, the first one. And the whole year afterwards, it was an exciting year.